It's the oldest building in the village. Okay, and I can just see it. I can just see a corner of it. Hello there, it is Friday morning, the beginning of my third full day of the trip, and I am currently on a trail, a path next to the Store River, the Great Store, which is right over there. So I'm on my way to a little place called Chilham. There's a castle there, or maybe it's a manor. I don't even know if it's open. I don't particularly care one way or the other. I mean, it'll be nice if I can go inside, but if not, that's fine. Just get a look at the outside, and I'm more interested in the walk. So the Hambrook Marshes here was used by the Hambrook family to graze cattle. And the sign I just read said it's still used for cattle grazing. Yeah, cattle may be grazing here April to October. Warning, areas of deep water and soft mud on Hambrook Marshes. So I guess there's a trail here, one of the many countryside trails, because this gate, they allow you to open it. It's unlocked. And the countryside is dotted with public access trails like that on land that is privately owned. So this land is currently owned by a trust, a charitable group that bought it in 2014. Oh, from what I can tell, I'm on the wrong path. I need to go through that gate. All right. See, I'm busy talking to you, not paying any attention to where I'm going. Oh, wow. Boy, cow patties. All right.
Day turned black, sky ripped apart, rain for years till it dampened my heart. Cracks in the leaks, the floorboards could rot. About to go down, I'd almost forgot. All I got to do is to love you. All I got to be is be happy. All it's got to take is someone to make it blow away, blow away, blow away.
All right, a couple of options here. There's a gate there, small gate, and there's a big gate here. Okay, big gate it is. And looks like I've got some companions up here.
All I got to do is to love you. All I got to be is be happy. All it's got to take is someone to make it blow away, blow away, blow away. Sky cleared up, day turned to bright. Closing both eyes, the head filled with light. Hard to remember the state I was in. Instant amnesia, yeah, to the end. All I got to do is to love you. All I got to be is be happy. All it's got to take is someone to make it blow away, blow away, blow away. All I got to do is to love you. All I got to be is be happy. All it's got to take
go through that gate, but there's a cow standing in front of it. Oh boy. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Yeah, they were all blocking the gate, so I just climbed over it. All right. Fun. Now I just head this way. Yeah, I mean, that's the path I was on earlier. I could have just kept going that way. But yeah, I guess more fun walking amongst the cows. So the Hambrook family owned this in the first half of the 20th century. After World War II, it was purchased by the Brett Group. The Hambrook family were dairy farmers. The Brett Group extracted gravel during the period 1979 to 1985. Some of the extraction ended up in the A2 dual carriageway that carries traffic over Hambrook near where you are standing. So that would be right there. Chartham is this direction, 2 miles, and that's the way we need to go because we need to get through Chartham to get to Chilham. And it looks like we have arrived in Chartham. So I'm curious what the story is on St. Mary's Church here. I mean, all the grave markers were relocated here along the sides. This is odd. What's the story? This is a situation I was hoping not to find myself in. The footpath, the sidewalk, or the pavement as they say here, ended just on the other side of that little bridge there. And now I'm on this country lane with no footpath, no sidewalk.
Wind blew in, cloud was dispersed, rainbows appearing, the passions were burst. Breezes are singing, I'm feeling good. Moment that passed like I knew that it should. All I got to do is to love you. All I got to be is it's got to take it some to make it blow away, blow away, blow away. All I got to do is to love you. All I got to be is be happy. All it's got to take is some to make it blow away, blow away, blow away. All it's got to take is some to make it blow away, blow away, blow away. All I got to do is to love you. All I got to be is be happy. All it's got to take is some to make it blow away, blow away, blow away.
You know, I've long heard about these public footpaths that crisscross the country, and I just never realized how absolutely amazing it is that these things exist until now that I've been walking them. I mean, I'm cutting across somebody's farmland here. And this path that I'm on is here for the public. It's here for everybody to walk across this person's farmland. How amazing is that, really? I mean, I can't imagine anything like that happening in the States. Is there a place in the States where there are public footpaths across private property? When I think about private property in the States, all I can think about is no trespassing signs. Warning, cows in field, keep to footpath, and dogs on leads. Your dog can scare or harm farm animals. So stay safe, use a lead. But release your dog if chased by cattle. Oh man, this grass is thick. This path isn't worn down. Looks like the latches on those gates are all the same. Standardized, I guess. Wow, look at that place. Chillum, we have arrived. I love the look of this place. I don't know anything about its history. I'm gonna have to look it up. It is lovely though. And there's the tea room I was talking of, the church mouse. Okay, I ordered a small cream tea. I've got Earl Grey here, and I've got some apple juice on the side. Got some clotted cream, raspberry jam, and a fruit scone. Good stuff. Been looking forward to this. Happy I came here. And here is Chillum Castle. It is a private residence. Very lovely. I just looked it up, and the story of this castle is that there is a polygonal keep in there that dates back to 1174, and it's the oldest building in the village. Okay, and I can just see it. I can just see a corner of it just on the other side of that tree. And that is the oldest building in the village, and it's still inhabited today, which is crazy. But the manor part of it, the manor house, the part that is most obvious from this angle, was completed in 1616 for Dudley Digges, Sir Dudley Digges. It was renovated and improved through the 18th and 19th centuries. The current owner bought the castle in 2022. And it says that Henry VIII owned the place briefly for a while. Yeah, what a cool little village this is. I think I'm gonna walk around here a little bit and then make my way back to Canterbury. Not sure if I should walk the trail to Canterbury again or take a bus or maybe go to the train station and just grab a train. So I've just read that St. Mary's here is mentioned in the Domesday Book, and it was owned by an abbey in France, but later passed to an abbey here in England, and it may have been here as far back as the 7th century. Interesting. So I had a nice walk, saw a nice looking little village, had a pretty good scone with cream and raspberry jam, a nice cup of Earl Grey with cream, and a pint of Strongbow. And saw a church and got to look at Chilham Castle up close. Well, as close as I could get. That's better than seeing it in the photos anyway. So the question is, do I want to walk back to Canterbury or just take the train? Yeah, I think I'm just going to take the train. I do kind of want to hang out in Canterbury for my last evening. Just wander around a bit and sit in a cafe and just watch people pass by maybe. I had intended to just chill for the rest of the evening and then head back to my room. But after I walked around for a little bit, I stopped for a sticky toffee pudding in a cafe. It's my first of the trip, and it was good. And then I realized, you know what? I've said my goodbye for this trip, and I actually have time to take you over to St. Augustine's Abbey. By the way, I have to mention this. This building right here, this is the corner house, restaurant and rooms. Once upon a time, it was a coach house, and the restaurant downstairs was really good when my wife and I ate here, and we stayed right there in that room on the corner. Each room has a different theme. I think our room was called the Dickens room, if I remember correctly, and it was a lovely room. But the best thing about this place was, I mean, the room was cozy, but the best thing about it was the food. Not only was the food in the restaurant for dinner and lunch very good, but the breakfast they serve every morning was phenomenal. They brought it up to the room, and they had, as I recall, homemade yogurt, fresh strawberries, very fresh strawberries. Everything was locally sourced, the dairy products, everything. So, supporting the community and tasty at the same time. My wife was crazy about the breakfast. Augustine arrived here in 597 AD. He was sent by Pope Gregory I, and Gregory sent him here to convert the Anglo-Saxons to Christianity because supposedly, the legend goes, the story goes, he had seen some Anglian children with blonde hair for sale in a slave market in Rome, and was moved by what he saw. Supposedly he said that they looked more like angels than angles. And so this was before he became Pope. And so when he became Pope, now he had the power to send missionaries here to convert the locals. And that was his motivation. The children being sold into slavery. And look who we have here, a little squirrely friend. He's got something in his mouth. So he arrived here, and the Anglo-Saxon king of Kent, Ethelbert, and his wife, Queen Bertha, welcomed him here. And Bertha was already a Christian. So it's believed that her influence is what opened the door for Augustine to begin his work and persuaded the king to give him the land to build his churches on. So the king gave him 2 sites. One of them was for a church that Augustine dedicated to Christ, and that was in the center of Canterbury, what is now Canterbury Cathedral. The other church was built here, and he dedicated it to St. Peter and St. Paul. These ruins are not from that church, because that church stood here from the early 7th century, and it was extended. And then another church was built and dedicated to St. Mary in 620. And also, there was a monastery that was built. Yeah, here's the cloister. And I guess that is what we learned the other day is called the Cloister Garth. All of this was here until 1100. And that's when the Normans came in here and destroyed everything that was already standing to make their own church. And you can see a replica of what the original monastery and churches would have looked like, and what the Norman church would have looked like, and it would have been the same size as Canterbury Cathedral. And that church stood here for 400 years, over 400 years, until the Reformation, when Henry VIII had it demolished and built a palace. This right here was Henry VIII's palace. And then in Victorian times, in the 1840s, these buildings over here were constructed as a missionary school, a missionary college. And today, this is the King's School. This was the refectory, the dining hall, where the monks ate together twice a day. It was demolished along with everything else in the mid-16th century. And these buildings here are part of the King's School. The remains of the infirmary are beneath the field here. It was a complex of buildings, mostly built in the 12th century. The remains were excavated between 1903 and 1907, but were then covered over. Hey, another squirrel buddy. So the monks' cemetery was right here where we're walking. And all the open space over there on the other side was just the Commons Cemetery. All of this. And this was St. Pancras Church. These are the only standing remains from the Anglo-Saxon monastery. This church was originally built in the 7th century using Roman material, the red brick. It stood separate from the other Anglo-Saxon structures, so it survived the Norman rebuilding. Interesting. Oh, wow. So these were Roman bricks. These modern tombs mark the graves of 3 Anglo-Saxon kings of Kent. Abbot Hugh III died 1224. Archbishop Theodore died 690. St. Augustine, site of grave, first Archbishop of Canterbury, 597 to 605. The second Archbishop Lawrence, his grave was down there. Mellitus, first Bishop of London, 604. Third Archbishop of Canterbury, 619 to 624, when he died. Justus, first Bishop of Rochester, 604 to 624. Fourth Archbishop of Canterbury, 624 to 627, and he died in 634. So yeah, I took in all of these details when I was here before, and I had the headset with the guided tour, read all the signboards, and it's all gone. just a few little bits and pieces remained before I came in here today. It's not the details of the place that I need to remember. it's the feel of the place that stays with me. It's the weight of the history here. If you visit Canterbury, if you see nothing else, I highly recommend you see the cathedral and St. Augustine's Abbey. The feeling is different in both, at least for me. And this isn't about religion. This has nothing to do with religion for me. This is about the history of it. And in Canterbury Cathedral, it's a living history, right? It's there, it's in use, it's constantly being renovated and restored and maintained. And people go in and out every day. And so you go there and you're in awe of its beauty, just the high arched ceilings and the exterior, the different eras of historical construction. The feeling there is immense. I don't have the words for it. And you come here to St. Augustine's Abbey for the memory of its history, for what used to be. It's a completely different feeling altogether. And to stand there at the site of what was the, first Archbishop of Canterbury, and again, it's not a religious experience for me. It's just about the historical experience. He was there. He was here, at the end of the 6th century, the beginning of the 7th century, and that's where they put him to rest. That's what it's about for me. I'm glad I was able to bring you here. So I think this is a good spot to bring the Canterbury leg of our trip to an end. And I'm going to walk back into the city center one last time and then head back to my room. And tomorrow morning, we're on a train to the next stop. Thanks for watching, thanks for liking, and thank you for subscribing. See you next time. Bye-bye.